Hello everyone, here we are. We're going to get going with Proverbs number 5. Here we go. My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Turn your ears to my words of insight, that you may maintain discretion and your lips may preserve knowledge. For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, Gall. That would be like bitter bile from the gallbladder, or vinegar. Or something. Gall can be used to cover quite a few things, but gall, I think gallbladder and bile. Bile is that stuff that burns if you throw it up. If you've ever vomited, and then when you're through vomiting, all that comes out is bile. And it's usually, I think, green or orange, and it burns. That's gall. But in the end, she's bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. She gives no thought to the way of life. Her paths wander aimlessly, but she doesn't know it. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Don't turn aside from what I say. Keep to a path far from her. Do not go near the door of her house, lest you lose your honor to others and your dignity to one who is cruel, lest strangers feast on your wealth and your toil enrich the house of another. Instead of enriching your own house, it enriches the house of another. At the end of your life, you'll groan when your flesh and body are spent. You'll say, how I hated discipline. How my heart spurned correction. Believe me, at the end of your life, you'll notice this about yourself. As we get older, we get a little more insight and we do a lot more introspection. And you don't want to have this be your fate. I would not obey my teachers. I'm going to start that over. Verse 12 of Proverbs 5. You will say, how I hated discipline. How my heart spurned correction. I wouldn't obey my teachers or turn my ear to my instructors. And I was soon in serious trouble in the assembly of God's people. Humiliating. Drink water from your own cistern, running water from your own well. Should your springs overflow in the streets, your streams of water in the public squares? Now, it's been said that drink water from your own cistern relates to the wife. In other words, stay with your wife, okay? Be fulfilled. Let your thirst be quenched with your wife, okay? So I'm going to read that again. Drink water from your own cistern, running water from your own well. Should your springs overflow in the streets, your streams of water in the public squares? Let them be yours alone, never to be shared with strangers. May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth, a loving doe, a graceful deer. May her breasts satisfy you always. May you ever be intoxicated with her love. Why, my son, be intoxicated with another man's wife? Why embrace the bosom of a wayward woman? Don't do it, folks. You're killing yourself. For your ways are in full view of the Lord, and he examines all your paths. The evil deeds of the wicked ensnare them. The cords of their sins hold them fast. So they're trapped. For lack of discipline, they will die, led astray by their own great folly. We've talked about discipline before. Discipline is a good thing. It's to be desired. Proverbs 6. Now, I want you to know that eventually Proverbs is going to turn into something a little different. It's still going to be Proverbs, and it's still going to be talking about wisdom, but it's going to turn into more of a one verse will be sort of like one concept, and then another verse will be another. Right now, this has a flow. This is a father and a mother speaking to their sons. but it's going to change up a bit. It's just going to be it's just not going to say my son, if I remember correctly. My son, if you've put up security for your neighbor, if you've shaken hands in pledge for a stranger, you've been trapped by what you said and snared by the words of your mouth. So do this, my son, to free yourself, since you've fallen into your neighbor's hands. Go to the point of exhaustion and give your neighbor no rest. Allow no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the snare of the fowler. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. We'll look it up, but I think what he's talking about when he's saying, since you've fallen into your neighbor's hand, he might be talking about a loan of some sort. We'll look it up. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man. A troublemaker and a villain who goes about with a corrupt mouth, who winks maliciously with his eye, signals with his feet, and motions with his fingers, who plots evil with deceit in his heart. He always stirs up conflict. Therefore, disaster will overtake him in an instant. He'll be suddenly destroyed without remedy. There are 6 things the Lord hates. Now let's make a note of these 6 things. 7 that are detestable to him. Okay, 7. Let's pay attention. Haughty eyes. So what's that? That's like, I can't really do it because I just haven't been that person for 40 years. But haughty eyes, you know what haughty eyes look like. A lying tongue. Hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that devises wicked schemes. Feet that are quick to rush into evil. A false witness who pours out lies. And a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Those are the 7 things the Lord hates. My son, keep your father's command and don't forsake your mother's teaching. Bind them always on your heart. Fasten them around your neck. When you walk, they'll guide you. When you sleep, they'll watch over you. When you awake, they'll speak to you. For this command is a lamp. This teaching is a light. And correction and instruction are the way to life, keeping you from your neighbor's wife, from the smooth talk of a wayward woman. You know, there's a reason why they call women homewreckers, because they insert themselves and they seduce. It's not always the man's fault. The man just goes to the slaughter. He gets enticed by a wicked woman and he goes to the slaughter and he loses everything when he's found out, right? Do not lust in your heart after her beauty or let her captivate you with her eyes. Now, if I were a man, and I'm not, but if I were and I was married faithfully and a woman came on to me, it would be an act of discipline, and hopefully I would have built up enough practice and built that muscle strong. It would be an act of discipline to look at her, no matter how beautiful, listen to her oily words and realize how evil she is, and that all I'm looking at is a beautiful snake, just like you look at a copperhead or a diamondback. They're gorgeous, but they're still snakes. Now, it would take discipline. If you're unarmed, you don't have the word of the Lord firmly in your heart. Now, don't go out and do this and say, oh, I just wasn't disciplined. You have no excuse because I've read it to you now, so you know better. But the point I'm making is, if it were me and I knew the word of the Lord, instead of being flattered, and this is why flattery is so dangerous. A woman like that comes to you with oily flattery, and a lot of us have such low self-esteem, we don't realize that we were worth dying for. That's called Christ esteem. It has nothing to do with you having, a high opinion of yourself or whatever. Nothing wrong with self-esteem, but what I like to claim is Christ esteem. I was worth dying for, and if I was the only person on earth, Jesus would have died for me anyway. Okay, so if I were armed with Christ esteem and this woman came on to me as a married man, I would feel I'm looking at a beautiful snake. I would not be fooled by her. And you can say, oh, well, she was ignorant. She didn't really realize what yes, she does. If you're married, she knows exactly what she's doing. I don't care how stupid she acts or how innocent or flirty she acts. She's a homewrecker. She's a snake. And this is what this father is saying to his son. Be careful of people like this. You'll lose everything because of a selfish, wicked person like this. And the same goes for you ladies. If you're married and some creep knows you're married and starts coming on to you, he's a snake. Have the discipline to view him. I don't care how good looking he is. Have the discipline and the love for God Almighty enough in your heart and knowledge enough of the word. I don't care if you just got a little bit of the word or a lot of the word. Love it enough to know what you're looking at, that this person has no scruples, no morals, is a liar, a manipulator, and couldn't care less about you. It's all about them. Learn to hate what's unhealthy for you. You don't hate him, but you hate what he's doing, and that should keep you far away from him. Okay. So I'm going to read the last verse again. Do not lust in your heart after her beauty, or let her captivate you with her eyes. For a prostitute can be had for a loaf of bread. And that's true. You can have a prostitute for $5. I've known many $5 prostitutes. $5. And that's about what a loaf of bread costs, depending on what you're buying. For a prostitute can be had for a loaf of bread, but another man's wife preys on your very life. So this is what I'm saying. If you're married or if she's married, you're both married. She knows what she's doing, no matter what she's acting like, and she's vicious. And she'd just as soon see you dead, just as long as she gets hers. Right? Don't serve people like that. Know them for what they are and back off, back away. Let her go to hell on her own. Don't go with her. Can a man scoop fire into his lap without his clothes being burned? Can a man walk on hot coals without his feet being scorched? So is he who sleeps with another man's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. Are you just signing your death warrant? People don't despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his hunger when he's starving. Yet if he's caught, he must pay sevenfold, though it costs him all the wealth of his house. But a man who commits adultery has no sense. Whoever does so destroys himself. Blows and disgrace are his lot, blows meaning hitting him, and his shame will never be wiped away. For jealousy arouses a husband's fury, and he'll show no mercy when he takes revenge. He won't accept any compensation. He'll refuse a bribe, however great it is. And that should tell you something about getting involved with a woman that is somebody else's or a man that is somebody else's. But this is speaking of the woman. But I'm telling you both ways. Don't fall for it. Proverbs 7. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Keep my commands and you'll live. Guard my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you're my sister. And to insight, you're my relative. They will keep you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words. You see, the Bible's words are powerful, right? Words are powerful. At the window of my house, I looked down through the lattice. I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who had no sense. He was going down the street near her corner, walking along in the direction of her house at twilight as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in. Then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and with crafty intent. Now, this woman is not a prostitute, but she's dressed like one. She is unruly and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares, at every corner she lurks. She took hold of him. That would be like a woman who's married, who's in all kinds of bars all the time, hanging out. She took hold of him and kissed him, and with a brazen face, she said, today I have fulfilled my vows, and I have food from my fellowship offering at home. Remember the fellowship offerings? So I came out to meet you. I looked for you and have found you. I've covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. I've perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. My husband is not home. He's gone on a long journey. He took his purse filled with money and will not be home till full moon. With persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. All at once he followed her like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping into a noose, till an arrow pierces his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it will cost him his life. And that's the way it is with so much of sin, if not every little last bit of it. It costs you your life. Figuratively and in reality. And let's just say not figuratively. In reality, it costs you your life. If it's never dealt with, it's going to cost you your eternal life. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Don't let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths. Many are the victims she's brought down. Her slain are a mighty throng. Her house is a highway to the grave, leading down to the chambers of death. You know, I don't know if you've ever been inside of a house of someone who practices witchcraft, but I have a couple of times. And the houses are always, the way they decorate is very alluring. Like, I literally went home one night after being in a witch's house and thinking, gosh, I can't decorate like that, which is funny because I've become such a decorator. I guess I always could, but anyway, I just remember that her house was so beautiful and so seductive, but there was nothing godly about it. She had lots of silver and silver jewelry and chalices and just really beautiful Gothic stuff. And she was a witch. I don't know if she knew it or not, but I remember thinking, my God, this is just perfect. It's just beautiful, very alluring, but there was just death at the end of it. There was nothing enlightening about it, nothing hopeful. And I remember going home to my house and actually I remember being relieved when I saw my house. I wasn't as progressed in my decorating back at that time period, but I was there enough to say, oh, okay, I do decorate well, and there's life in this decorating. Okay, so it's a difference. So the reason I'm bringing that up is to talk about the allure of evil things. There is an allure, and the devil comes as an angel of light often, but you have to be able to discern what is of death and what is of life or light. And it's really not hard when you know the Bible, okay? And if you're going into someone's house that is fooling with witchcraft, you know what you're doing. And this was just a particular situation. It was, you know, a friend of a friend took me there or whatever. It was a long time ago. But I love you very much. Tomorrow we'll pick it up. Oh, we were going to look up one more thing. Let's look up Proverbs 5 commentary and just find out if that was a loan that he was saying to not be enslaved by to your neighbor. And this is David Guzik. Let's see. My son, pay attention. Okay, so it is Solomon talking. Maybe it wasn't... let's see. Yeah, my son, pay attention in your ear. Okay, so no, it wasn't 5. Bear with me here for just 1 second. All right, it was 6. It was Proverbs 6, the very beginning. So let's look at that one. Okay. Yes, it's about debts, taking debts of friends or strangers. Solomon warned his son against guaranteeing the debts of others, whether they were a friend or a stranger. This was the promise to pay the debts of the friend or stranger if they failed to pay. Okay, so you're like a backup, sort of like when they make you co-sign for, they get a co-signer for your loan, saying, and this co-signer is saying, I'm going to be responsible if, you know, this person doesn't pay the loan. And so Solomon is saying, get out of that. Don't go to sleep. Don't let any sleep come near your eyes until you get out of that situation. Don't co-sign for anyone. So that's what that means. I love you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll pick it up with Proverbs 8. You have a wonderful evening, and let these words sink in, okay? Because there's other things akin to adultery that are evil. It may not exactly be a sexual sin. It may be some other, but you know, the structure of sin is pretty much the same in all things. So be warned, okay? Love you. Bye-bye.